Well, hello, and welcome to Auto Arcadia. I'm one of the hosts, Colin Wood,
And again, I'm the other host, Thomas Hope.
and tonight we're going to be talking about the final episode in our little driver's car mini-series, Tom. Well, folks, this is it. Well, for me at least, this is it. This is the bit that absolutely defines a driver's car. All of the great ones have it, and they have it in abundance. We've all had it. When the feeling of a car is greater than the sum of its parts. It's that special feeling when after that fuck we nearly died moment where you pat the dash and say well done. It's the symphony of pops, crackles and bangs, the pantomime of performance and the event of driving. It's when a car, probably your car, has that sparkle of personality shine through. So Tom.
Yeah.
My mind has just stopped working there. I don't know why.
Got a question for me?
Yeah. So, personality of a car. What do we sum it up as, do you think?
That's a good question. I think it has a lot to do with your relationship with the car. Not to sound like kind of too like remote or academic about it, but like I think that a lot of the personality that a car has really comes from spending time with the car and your relationship with how you interact with it and like what you've done together, not to overly like make real the car. But do you kind of know what I'm getting at there, where it's kind of like it's got to be based on some sort of experience that you've had with the car, because a car doesn't just come with personality.
I totally get what you're saying, but then I also don't at the same time. And the reason for why, like see if you're going through Auto Trader and say for instance you're looking at 340i estates, they all look much the same, but then you come across one car. There's one in particular, and it can just be the thumbnail photo in the ad, and you're like, holy fuck, that car looks something special. There's something special about that. And it shouldn't be. Like, it's just a car for sale. But there's something about the way it looks, and it's like, oh, there's something here that catches my eye, and I'm not quite sure why.
But that's not the car's personality. That's like the car's aesthetics.
But is that not part of it?
I mean, yeah, I would say it's part, but like for me, when I'm kind of trawling Auto Trader and looking at stuff, there's stuff that I find interesting because, it might be like a bit unusual and a bit different, which, is, I suppose, part of a personality, or like it's like, like a cool looking car or something like that. But like until I've actually driven the car and spent time with it, I don't know what personality that car might have. Like, sometimes the way you perceive a car can change over time as well.
That's a very good shout as well. Yeah, no. So like the way I kind of put, the thing is, like people talk about the nature of a car. So we might need to split this here because like you get cars that kind of beg to be driven hard, Like it's actually a struggle to drive them at 60 because the car is always egging you on to go faster. And it's something in the way that it's built. Like the collection of parts is more than what a collection of parts should be. There's something extra there.
I definitely agree. There are some cars that the way they drive, and I feel this is mostly on like the throttle pedal. Like it's mostly in the way that feels and the way that responds, that just feel like you can't help but drive it quickly. It wants to go fast.
Yes, I'm in agreement there. I mean, it's the way the throttle pedal, the gear shift as well. Like all the points where you interact with a car, they all add up to something more, and I think that's the nature. So maybe that was a poor question when I said personality, because I do understand what you're saying. Like there's some cars I've owned that I gel with and like I absolutely loved, and then there's other ones that I could care less about.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Like there are some cars that like on paper you don't think that you'll particularly enjoy, but when you drive them you're like, oh no, I really like this thing. I really like it's the way it is.
Yeah. No, that's a fair shout. Well then, with that in mind, what cars have you had that have that nature about them? Or what cars do you think of that sort of nature about them? And then is there any that you've driven and then found that the personality of the car is just like, what the fuck, man? It doesn't match up or anything like that?
I can give you my thoughts on. I mean, I feel like the first car I had was I really liked that car. I felt it was it had quite an enthusiastic little engine. It was willing to rev. It was quite peppy, and the actual car itself was quite light. And it wasn't like it didn't have what you would call an insane amount of grip, but it was quite predictable, and it was like quite chuckable. Like it didn't mind. It had a lot of like kind of grip at low speeds, but then if you started to really, you started to go fast, you would run out of grip quite quickly. Probably quite thin tires on that Fiesta, actually. And when I think back on it, they would definitely not have been good tires on that car. They would have been the cheapest that money could buy.
Yeah.
But it still felt good. It felt like it was quite an eager car to go. Like it was, I mean, if you had more than yourself in the car, you were getting no performance whatsoever. But if you were on your own, it wasn't too bad. I remember it had a really, really long throw gear stick as well. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, but the first car, it wasn't like a driver's car, but it did feel, it felt like it was quite eager to be chucked about and pushed. Largely just because the engine was like quite revvy and quite willing. But then comparing that to like the diesel Volvo that I had, that car was really unwilling. It wasn't. It was a bit of a boat, to be honest. It would kind of like flail about. It again was on horrendously cheap tires, but like it was heavy at the front, but it also had like a weird kind of like you could easily get it to slide the back end round to like a mildly damp roundabout. Like it wasn't hard to get that car to swing round.
Fair enough, yeah.
So like it didn't really have like that kind of fun personality. I would say the personality of that car was like reluctant and incapable. That was the two things that I remember from it most. Like it was great for bombing down the motorway, but then when you showed it an A road or a B road or even town, it was just kind of a bit shit. And like I really, really grew to resent it. It was quite comfortable, at least. That was about the only thing. But like it was like comfortable in the wrong way. It was comfortable in the way that you kind of like slouch down and like you kind of like you go limp. Not in a, like a kind of supportive and comfortable way, in a kind of like pure lack of support. That was much the same as the Jaguar X-Type. That had a very similar vibe where it was like it wasn't so much driving as it was like boating.
That's such an amazing sentence to say when you're talking about driving a car.
Like just like really light steering, really soft, wallowy kind of car. It just like you would chuck it around like back roads and it would just kind of like loll from side to side. The car would still be reacting to stuff that you passed, like a few meters back.
That's fucking quality, man. But like that's the thing though, because like something doesn't have to be amazing at going around corners for it to have loads of character and a bit of personality. Like it's equally as fun in a car where you're like, the only way I can describe it is like reverberating around the corner. It's like each corner of the car is bouncing in sequence in a circle as you're turning, and it's like sitting on a magic carpet. Like there's something quite fun about pushing on in a car like that when it's like it's made of jelly and it might kill you.
Yeah, I would say the Jag was way more fun. It actually drove better. Like of the two of them, I thought the Jag was like a much better drive. It certainly it was a laugh to like like properly swing it about and like maybe like some of the roads where they're not really that flat and maybe you would exercise more restraint in a car that you like kind of were had more care for, but it's Jag would just bounce up and down over stuff.
That's fucking quality though.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that the Jag was fun to chuck around, whereas the Volvo I found actually ended up just not having any confidence in that car. It felt more slidey than wobbly in a lot of ways, even though it was still a very wobbly car.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And when you say the slidiness, like that playfulness, I loved the Supra for this. I've never ever had another car that drives quite the same. So I used to love going to work on like a cold, greasy morning where it was like the road was damp, but it wasn't wet. Because on all the roundabouts, you would go diving in with the Supra, and you would get that moment of inertia right when you went around the corner and you just throttle it. And it's like, it felt like a GT86 does a little bit. Like it sort of yaws round the centre, and like you feel the back end sliding like inside its own wheelbase, if that makes sense. And then it starts to get a bit wider, and then it goes a bit more layering, and you just put a wee bit of counter steer in, and like you just take off. It's such an amazing feeling. It was so playful on the throttle, and the inputs were just so nice. And I'd done that like every morning in like rush hour traffic, where all these people stopped at a roundabout, and it's like it sounds properly irresponsible when I'm saying it like this, but it wasn't. It was class. Like it was pretty low speed. It was like 20 to 30 mile an hour, and loads of space, and nobody was jumping the roundabout in front of you because you were coming around it sideways. So like it was actually pretty safe when you look at it like that. But yeah, no, that was the same. Like I had that same the slidiness, which just added to how the car was and like the personality of it all.
Yeah, you got the good slides, whereas my Volvo would get the bad slides, where it wouldn't swing, it wouldn't rotate within its own footprint. It would swing like a pendulum around the front axle. Like the back would just slide out.
Ah, right. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, there's a difference there.
Yeah, I remember taking someone to Tesco's, right? And there was a couple of us, and one person was in the back seat, and I didn't know that they hadn't clipped themselves in. And I went around the roundabout into, like the kind of the industrial area where Tesco's was. And I went around the roundabout, and like the back of the car starts, like pivot, and she just flies from one side of the back seat to the other.
That's fucking incredible.
Along the shiny leather seats, just like the dunk right into the side. I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, why were you not wearing a seatbelt? Like, do you not expect me to do something like that?
Actually, see how we're on the personality of a car. I've got a car and a collection of car stories that sum this up perfectly. And it's a car I never drove. Well, I drove it plenty actually, but I never owned, right? One of my close friends in Dumfries had a Toyota Avensis, right, called Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's listening, he's instantly going to know that I'm talking about his car, because the number plate spelt Wendy. Yeah, it wasn't like we called the car Wendy. But
I totally got you, yeah.
It totally was not a car that was like amazing dynamic handling or loads of power or anything like that. It was like riding in a magic carpet. So you know the forest party story that I was telling you, where we were running up and down from the hill with batteries to charge the sound system batteries overnight?
I do, yes.
This car was the one charging them. Right, so that gives you a little, like, he had this car for years as well, and the story.
It's a Toyota it's just still going.
Oh yeah, like I welded up the sills for him, like, and fucking painted them all black and all sorts. Like, there's fucking so many stories about this thing. But they range from four people up in this car driving way, way, way faster than we had any right to be, and I'm in the passenger seat. And I'm talking into my phone, into my hand, like a co-pilot, like a co-driver. Sorry, not a fucking co-pilot. It's not a Boeing 747. It's a Toyota Avensis. And I'm like calling out what I'm seeing, like straight over crest into right hand, free. And I'm not saying his name, but he was driving like properly fucking flat out, man. It was class. And there's two boys in the back that are like shimmying from side to side in the car to like redistribute their weight as we're going around corners and stuff. And like just total irresponsible shit like that. To then, like, we smoked at the time as well, and he had a lighter on his keys on the car, right? So he's like, where's my fucking lighter? I can't find my lighter. You got a lighter? I was like, no man, I left it lying at your bit when we left. He's like, oh fuck, right. So comes onto the sands, gets the steering straight, switches the car off, takes his keys out while engaging the steering lock while we're driving. He had the lighter on his keys, lights his fag, puts the lighter away, puts the key back in the ignition, turns the key, takes the steering lock off, and turns the car back on, all while we're driving at like 40 mile an hour.
Bold.
Oh, bold move.
Very
it was
bold.
class. Like, but there's so many of these stories, man. Just like taking it to go and pick up 300 ZXs and Type Rs, going Supra hunting in it. Like when I had my
just the workhorse.
Yeah, it done everything, man. Like when I had my Supra, like we ended up racing the Avensis versus the Supra on this shitty little unnamed, it didn't even have a number road. Like it was just black line on map. That was it. And like,
so you'd say that was a private road then?
I would say it was a private road. Yes, it was certainly a road that was probably in the vicinity of Mexico. So yeah, no, we were playing around on this road, and like it, just all the stories of it, they were all fantastic. It was absolutely incredible, and it wasn't anything particularly special. But by God, the car had personality. It was like when you looked at the car, you smiled because the car was just like good times. That was it.
Yeah, it's like built up through all of the bonding you've like all the things you've done with the car.
Oh yeah, like it was just fantastic, and everybody had the same idea of it. Like when you bring it up in the pub, they're like, "Oh, that was a beast, that car! Like that was fucking incredible." And it was just a petrol Toyota Avensis, and like it had its problems as well. Like you couldn't put more than half a tank of fuel in it because there was a hole in the fuel tank. like that sort of shit. It had its foibles, and it had this nature and personality about it that was just like it was larger than life almost.
Absolutely, I totally understand that.
Yeah, no, that's probably the best fucking example of car personality I have, you know.
Excuse me. No, I think that's an absolutely fantastic example. I think that car's got loads of personality through like everything that you've kind of done with the car, and the fact that it's probably not broken down too many times on you. Like, was it one of those ones that just started pretty much every time?
And it broke down once, and I had to go and rescue the guy that owned it. Oh no, wait, no, sorry, was that his Supra that broke down? Fuck, I can't remember anyway. But I think it broke down once, but I might be wrong. It might never have broken down, and I'm pretty sure he owned that fucking thing for like over a decade, man.
I am a solid fan of the like just having a kind of a shit car to just go and do like shit car duties, basically.
Yeah, and see when you have a shit car for shit car duties, and it turns into just an absolute legend like that. There's something really special about it. So it's
kind of more than if it was a really, really nice car, because you expect a really nice car to always be there for you. But when it's kind of a bit of shit, you're always pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like it truly does become more than the sum of its parts at that point. Yeah. I don't know. Have you got anything else to add on like personality of a car?
I mean, I don't really know if I would say many of the cars I've had have developed a particularly strong personality when I really think about it. Like, I wouldn't say my current car has a personality. I wouldn't really be able to like imagine. I haven't really spent too many times where the car's been instrumental to having like a good memory, if you know what I mean. I remember a few times where cars have like let me down and it's become like a pain in the arse and it's shit. And pretty much every car I've had has like, apart from this one actually, has in some way let me down in like quite a catastrophic way. Although maybe not. Technically, I kind of let the Jag down because I forgot to like book it an MOT in advance of it having some problems.
Right.
So it never let me down. That thing always started. That was, to be fair to that car, that thing always started. It always started. The heat seats always worked. All of the important stuff was there. But I did have something that's maybe a little bit related to this, and it's related to the story that you were saying about Wendy, which is naming cars. Okay or not okay?
Absolutely okay.
Interesting.
I think it become like if you just walk up to a random car and you're like, oh, that looks like a I don't know, a Sasha, right? Like, no, what are you doing? That's stupid. If you've got like if it's like the personality of a car is coming out and everything, then absolutely at that point it deserves a name.
That's interesting. I'm not sure I agree with that at all. I don't think I like naming cars. I think I find it a little bit. I'm not sure. I feel a bit weird about giving something like a name. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
Fair enough.
I think it's a no. I think someone would have to like really sell me on the idea.
Right. That's fair, I suppose.
So have you ever named any of your cars?
Most of them.
Really? With actual proper names?
Yeah. I mean,
I
sometimes
did not know this.
Sometimes it's not always a name. Like my motorbike, I refer to as the wee beastie because that's what it is. It's the wee beastie. But yeah, no. Like most of my cars have had names. To be fair.
Can we have some high level ones? Like what was the RX-8?
So the RX-8 didn't, in fairness. But the Supra was like Susie for no reason at all, other than it was Susie the Supra. Yeah, it's always tends to be something that rhymes, unless it's something to do with like the actual character of it, like the bike, how it's the wee beastie.
Yeah, totally. Did the Yaris get one?
No, actually, now that you mention it, there's like no real correlation between a car that gets one and doesn't get one, because my 530D was the fucking cunt.
Okay.
Like, that was what it was referred to all the time.
That was earned because you didn't like it much.
Every time I went near it, it cost me money. Every time.
That was the one with the 550 foot-pound of torque or something like that.
Yeah, and like 380 brake. Yeah, that's the one.
Was that not a long wheelbase car?
It was, yeah, as well. Like it was proper limo spec almost. Somebody spent some money when they spec'd that one, so they did.
Only for it to be left in your responsible stewardship.
Yeah, I mean it did killer skids, you know.
I bet it did, yeah.
See, actually, right, this fucking perfectly sums up personality in a car as well, because it's not always a good personality. Like that BMW was a fucking problem child, man. Like every single airbag needed something done. The same with the SRS system. Like, and it ended up there was a door module that was away, and then I went to BMW and they were like, "Yeah, it's $4,000 for the door module," and I'm like,
"Well, that's like written that car off then."
It was like, it's like a $2,000 car, so I was like, "There's no way it's got to pass an MOT." So it had 3 days MOT left on it, so I stuck it up for £1,500 with 3 days MOT left, and I was like, "This is the problem. You take it or leave it." And somebody came and bought it.
Good stuff. Great for you.
I genuinely don't know why they did. Well, I do know why they did, because I was quite crafty when I sold it, which is we jumped in the car and then I was like, right, before we do anything, I'll take you a run in it and get it out the way. He's like, right, cool. So we jumped in it, cold start. It's like, there you go, cold start, nice and easy. Says, we'll take it a wee run round the tune to let it warm up, and then I'll take it down the bypass and get some Dixie. And I hit it in second gear, and he couldn't lift his fucking arms, man. He was, holy shit, this is incredible. I was, yep, that's all the diesel torque. And when we got back to the house, he just gave me the cash and was like, give me the V5 and I'll just go. I was like, cool. So yeah.
Oh, that's a lesson for you. Don't make that impulse buy based on how it felt.
Yeah, because I saw it up for sale like 2 weeks later with a fresh MOT, and all the lights still on. I was like, and he was like, oh, the lights came on like 4 days after it passed its MOT. I was like, you fucking lying bastard. You've done a dodgy, that's what you've done. But aye, so no, it was a bit mental, like. But yeah, the personality of that car was not one that I liked.
Yeah, definitely. I've had cars that I've not particularly liked. I've not cared for their personalities that they've kind of developed.
Yeah. Do you know, actually, time for an analogy. So that 530D was very much Ricky Gervais in terms of personality.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. Where are you going with this?
So, but my Supra and the Yaris and my Soarer and the RX-8, they were like Bert Kreischer or Billy Connolly or what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name. Totally lost. But anyway, they were like a really funny comedian. But the BMW was just somebody whose show tickets are very expensive and not that good. Like, if my Yaris suddenly turned into a person, I would want to go for a pint with him, because this is genuinely what the Yaris would be if it turned into a person, right? It would be 4 foot tall, nothing to look at, but it would end up leathering all the bouncers and drinking everybody under the table on straight whiskey. That's what it would do. It was just, that was it. Like, it'd just be fun.
You absolutely love that Yaris, man. Like, I think you're a secret small car enthusiast, honestly.
I'm a secret Yaris enthusiast. Well, it's actually not a secret at all. I'm a Yaris enthusiast. But like, Igos don't do it for me in the same, and they're basically the same car. But then, yeah. So like, personality wise, I think we've kind of warbled on quite a bit about personality and not said very much here.
Yeah, we may have. Yeah.
So, hold on. In fact, no, I think we said something quite important. With personality, do we think it's the car that matters, or do we think it's more of a case that the car is yours, or that you have the relationship with the car?
I think they both matter in slightly different ways, because, as I was saying earlier, right? Say you go on a road trip, okay? You're going up north to the Highlands, to John O'Groats, somewhere like that. I don't know. You're going camping for some reason. See, if you were to take something, like you rent something and it's like, you know, it's on a new plate, it's like a little hatchback or some SUV crossover thing, and it like, you would kind of just expect that to get you where you need to go.
That's fair, yeah.
But if you were to take something a little bit more, you know, ropey, worn, tired, and it gets there, or even if you have like a little bit of a problem along the way, but you still get there, that's more meaningful. It's more involved. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. Because like, if it just gets you there without no drama or no nothing, it's like, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm totally on board with that. This is actually something I think Top Gear proves a little bit as well. So remember when they started doing all the massive specials, and there was the one where they drove to, was it Bethlehem?
Yeah, I think they did like was it that the one where they did like sports cars, 2-seater sports cars? What was there? There was the Fiat one,
the BMW Z3, and the MX-5.
The Fiat Barrichello. What was the name of that Fiat, the little 2-seater?
I don't know.
And what was the other one? Sorry, a Z3 and
an MX-5, I'm sure.
I do remember that one, despite it being kind of boring.
What, the special?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at though is what they all said at the end, and like Clarkson was in the Z3, and he's like, was Clarkson in the Z3? I'm not sure, but one of them was in the Z3, and he's like, there's a place in hell for the man that designed that gearbox, but that car has been spectacular, and I've loved every minute of driving it. And the other two were the same. They were like, couldn't have imagined doing it in any car other than the one that I've got. Like, they all gelled with them, and they all started to just love the fucking things. That right there is the personality of a car, I think.
Yeah, totally. And it makes them worth so much more in your eyes. Like, I totally understand the whole sentimental value of a car, where people say, oh, it's not worth the money. But you're like, well, you know, value is what you put on it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, do we reckon it's more the car is yours, or you have that relationship then? I think that's the way this is kind of leaning. Like, what you go through with it kind of builds the personality up.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. The car choice matters, but it's more the time you spend with it. Because I suppose if you bought a car from new and then you kept it for 10 years, you would make some serious memories of that car, and it would have its own personality.
Yeah, definitely.
But it wouldn't have started with that personality.
It wouldn't have started with it. It would started with the car's nature, which is...
I totally get that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with nature, and I agree, yeah.
So I read, actually, when was it? It was like last Thursday when I was at work, supposed to be working, and instead I was on the internet.
That sounds so ominous, but it's just left open-ended like that.
So what it was I was actually on Reddit, believe it or not, and it was on the Porsche subreddit. I think it was either that or it was on Facebook, and it was like Drive AU or somebody that sent it. But anyway, there was this guy, and he's like, he bought a Porsche 911 Turbo, brand new, 40 years ago, and he's done over 1 million kilometers in it. He's the only owner the car has had. He's driven it to the point where it's had 2 gearbox rebuilds and an engine rebuild, and it's now like 680 horsepower, and the guy's like 80 odd, and he still goes out and kicks its arse every day. He still goes track day.
The owner you want to buy from.
That's like that car. If I had 10 million quid, I would buy that car for 10 million quid if it ever came up for sale, because you just know it will be a fantastic example of it, even with 1 million kilometers on it.
It does sound like it's been well looked after.
Oh yeah, and the guy's like, there was photos of him like when he first bought the car like 40 years ago, and it was all sepiaed out in the photo and everything, and it just looked so genuine and fantastic and amazing. But like, what I was getting at about nature there, so he fell in love with the nature of that car. Like, it was a Porsche 911 Turbo. He got in that the day that he went to buy it, and like was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I love this. This is the daddy. This is the car for me. He bought it and then gelled with it so much, and like clearly had a very good relationship with the car, to the point where it got to 3-year-old, and he didn't just do what everyone else did and traded it in. He kept it for another 37 years and still has it now. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is kind of amazing. It's like the same story with that. Is it a Volvo P1800 or P1600 that's done the million? It's done millions of kilometers, I think. Like, the same guy just drives it all the time, just keeps it going. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah, like,
it's really cool.
I would really like to do that. So I'd love to buy a car brand new. It would have to be something fantastic, like a Porsche 911 or something like that, and just keep it and never get rid of it, and do all the miles in it, and like have kids grow up and have that as the runabout, and like just crazy stuff. That'd be cool as fuck. But I'm digressing because I'm pulling us back to the personality of a car. So I was trying to get us to where the nature and the personality of a car like gel together and become like, that's like the push to make a personality as a car that has a good nature. But in a driver's car, what nature are we looking for?
Good question. Ultimately, you're looking for something that's fun in settings where you want to be driving. So like, kind of like your A roads and B roads. Like, I don't want a car that really comes alive on the motorway, and I don't really want a car that really comes alive in town. Like, they're not the best places to drive.
No, in full agreement there.
Like, as I was saying, like the Fiesta that I remember, it was really good pottering around town at like low speeds. It's quite willing, and like it was quite willing up to like 40, but then when you started to take it to like A's and B's, it didn't really have the grip for those kind of roads to really be enjoyable around them.
That's fair, dude. More than fair, actually. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm going to go back to a car that I've recently test drove, which was the Megane, the RS.
Yeah.
And that was stellar in terms of nature. Like, it pushed you to go faster. Even Bex was like, go faster. Fucking no bother hen. Like, yeah, let's do it. And the whole feeling and the interaction and tactileness of the car was just fantastic. And honestly, I think I would have the car named within a month, and it would be building a personality within about a fortnight if I bought something like that. And it's that push that you want from a good driver's car. So like, that's something that's known to be a really good driver's car, is an RS Megane.
Definitely.
And like, that right there, and like what I've just said, kind of pushes home the nature of a car, I think. Because it was a bit of a pantomime. Like, it was popping and banging, and like, you could spin the wheels up in second gear, third gear, you know, it was class. It was chirping into second and third gear.
It was a bit leery.
It was a bit leery, but not so leery it was terrifying.
Absolutely.
Although you'd have to do something spectacular to terrify me with a car now. But still, that's a very good point.
I agree. I do like a bit of a leery car. You know, I'm not against some of the more obnoxious car noises.
Oh yeah, like, everyone loves a turbo unicorn. you know?
Absolutely. Like if I'm just walking about, in the sun, definitely like to hear something a bit fruity. It's always really interesting to see what that fruity sound is bolted to.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it can throw you.
Absolutely.
Because sound's actually quite a big part of the nature of a car as well, you know?
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
And
Can you imagine, like, that's maybe a thing with EVs as well. It's like you could make an EV really engaging to drive, but it would be road noise only.
yeah. Well, I mean, because you can program them to make engine noises, can't you?
You can, but I really dislike that. I'm so not on board for the whole piping engine noises through the speakers. That can get too fog.
Yeah, I know. You know, there was a boy actually I used to work with. He got a Renault Clio RS. I can't remember what the RS is called for the Clio. I've never been
Renault
that.
Sport?
No, the number, like whether it was a 180, it wouldn't have been a 180 because the 200s were like a thing a while back.
Like a 197 maybe?
Yeah, no, the next one up from a 197, it was like just
Is
it
that
was
not
the last.
200? I'm not 100% on that.
I don't know. Like the Clios, I'm not hot on. But I remember sitting in it and he started it up and I was like, why does this sound like a Mustang? And he's like, oh, sorry, I've got the noises set to V8. I was like,
Oh my god.
the car doesn't have a V8. It doesn't even have a fucking 6-cylinder in it. It's got a pissy V4 cylinder. Why are you doing this? He's like, it just sounds cool. I was like, it sounds pathetic.
Yeah, I'm not really on board for that. I need a little bit of authenticity with the sound. It was one of the things that I did in the car is turn that shit off. I was like, I'm okay with it having a worse exhaust note if as long as it's real.
Yeah. But like, there's certain cars that do it really well. Like Lexus are a big one on this with their V8s. But what they do is they have a tube from the intake of the car to the inside the car, and it just pipes the actual noise in. Like it doesn't change the noise. It's not fake. It's the noise the car's making anyway. It just pipes it into the cabin a little bit. That
So
sort
does
of
it record? Does it record it and then play it back in the speakers?
No, it's a mechanical link. It's actually a pipe.
Just the pipe to the engine.
Yeah, like it's literally the resonance from the intake manifold being piped into the cabin of the car. It's not through speakers either. It's like a totally mechanical system.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So like, see that I'm on board with that because a lot of cars, especially modern ones, are so fucking refined you don't get induction noise.
Yeah, you really don't.
So like the sound has a massive impact, I reckon, like towards the nature of the car.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you've got a car that's maybe not got the trousers to actually, like, it's not got the performance, but it makes such a song and dance about, like, in, like, a really silly way, it can be quite good fun. That can have a bit of a personality as well,
Yeah. So, like, I kind of keep coming back to the intro. Like, it's a pantomime, Like, any car I really have enjoyed driving. Like, they pop, they bang, they crackle, they make stupid noises, and there's something about them that's just a bit larger than what you'd expect. Like the Yaris had no fucking reason to be as good a driver's car as it was, and it wasn't actually a good driver's car. It was just what it did. But it was so accessible, and you could eke everything out of it so easily that it was just great fun.
Yeah, yeah. I like a little bit of pantomime and theatre in my car as well. Sometimes you don't want that and you want it to be muted, but most of the time you want a bit of that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't really ever want it to be muted. Like, I always want it to be larger than life and a bit mental.
Can you think of any situation where it would be maybe not the most appropriate to have like a car with, all of the pops and bangs and the burble and the intake noises? Maybe that wouldn't be appropriate.
Maybe a funeral.
I was thinking that as well, yeah.
But you know what? See, if it was my funeral, I'm like, oh yeah, the right people are here,
The loudest funeral on record.
So no, like I totally get what you're meaning. Like when you're leaving the house at like 3 a.m, and all your neighbours hate you because you've got a shared drive, you probably don't want to be like going up there with pops and bangs. But at the same time, I buy my car to make me pleased, not to please my neighbours. Like,
yeah,
their inconvenience technically, well, it doesn't technically, it literally means fuck all to me when it goes against my happiness.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Maybe this is a good place to leave this one.
Yeah, it might be actually. So there's two questions left, really.
Okay.
And then I think we're done with the last bit of the personality of a car. So, are there anything you've driven, whether you've owned it or not, where it was just intoxicating? Like the drive was just fantastic and it's like a core memory. And the last one is, do you think it's engineerable? Like, can you set out to create an amazing driver's car with the right nature that pushes you to keep hold of it to the point where it starts building a personality?
That's interesting. Does it even need to be a good driver's car to build it? No, sorry, I'm not going to go down that track because we've kind of already answered that. Do you know what? God, that feels so bad. I can't really think of a car that I've driven that's been such a core memory. The only thing that would really fit what you described for me is having to go in one of the single-seater kind of little race car things. That is a core driving memory. That thing felt great. Like it made kind of everything else in comparison feel really, really soft and remote and not really like driving.
Fair enough.
But it's unfair to compare cars to that thing because it doesn't really do the same as a car.
You couldn't nip the shops in it.
Yeah. I mean, you could get like a little basket on the front. It would vibrate everything. So you imagine opening a bottle of can of Coke that you had in that car.
Yeah, you're not going to stay dry for very long, that's for sure.
Absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, I think probably the Toyota MR2 probably got closest to being like the kind of most willing and like fun and engaging drive. That car had like a little bit of personality. Like, I mean, it was in like, it was honestly such a crap looking car. It was flat white, faded paint with like sunspots. It had a really aggressive tint on the side and the back. It had black standard alloys, but they were just painted black. I think they were like a kind of flat black when that was all the style. Someone had weirdly debadged the Honda badge and put on like some other kind of badge, like a midship badge or something like that. It had a dent in the back of it that someone had painted over with an actual brush. It had like a horrible sticker on it. It looked like your proper lowest rung drug dealer kind of car. Like it looked crap. But once you got it going, it was good fun. And it was a bit awkward. So there was a little bit of personality in that car. I really enjoyed getting into it and driving it all the time. There's never a moment where I was like, ugh, I have to drive this car. But I did also have a Volvo at the time, which meant if I ever needed to do anything reliable, I would just use that. And when I could like actually afford to just drive about and have fun, I would drive the Toyota.
That's fair, dude.
So yeah, what about yourself?
I'm just sitting thinking, bud. The RX-8, the first time I ever took it like on a proper drive, and it was like my first kind of performance car as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I took it out and I gave it Dixie, man, like right to 9,500 RPM.
Fully stretching the legs.
Oh yeah, like she was moving, and it was just like I remember just sitting thinking, this is phenomenal, and this is exactly what I want from every other car I own.
Yes, that's quite formative, isn't it? When you're like, oh, I know what I like now.
Yeah, I was like, I like loud noises and sharp response and really good manual gearboxes and proper limited slip mechanical differentials and coupes and paying a lot of money for a lot of fuel. And it was like boom, like that was really formative, like big one. And then the first time I drove the Supra with actually the lad that owned Wendy, and we were giving it Dixie out the coast road, and then we swapped over because it was his dream car, and I bought one first. So I was like, you need to have a experience it. And we're coming back along the coast road, and there was a Bertone Vauxhall Astra 2.2 that we encountered and continued to encounter all the way back to Dumfries. And just that was spectacular. Like, being a passenger in my dream car at the time, being driven by one of my best pals, which was also his dream car, just driving it at like 9 to 10 tenths all the way back along the coast road, and it was fantastic. So that was another one. Like, that was intoxicating. Quite a few of the drives that I had with the Supra were intoxicating like that, like properly core memories that I'll remember from now until the day I go.
Yeah, that's a nice one, honestly. When you're talking, you're making me remember a couple of little things as well now, because I remember the first time that I actually experienced driving something with a bit of power, if you know what I mean. Like, for a while I was driving cars with, like, 140 or less horsepower. Like, these cars, they weren't fast cars.
Yeah.
And then getting something that had like a turbo and over a couple hundred horsepower, and actually, like, properly ragging it about and realizing, like, actually they're, like, that kind of surge of speed you get was good. I really enjoyed that. I can remember the first time that experienced that. I can also remember the first time that I put my foot down in my current car and, like, just experience, like, what it was capable of, and being like, oh, right, actually, yeah, pretty capable. That's like a kind of core memory of, like, realizing something. But, like, I know there's more out there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get that as well. Because it's very easy to get swept up in thinking that what you have is like the finest thing that was ever built.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're not being, like, just delusional about something and being, like, actually kind of, like, quite realistic, like, you can love something, but you can really understand, like, what its flaws are. Like, all the cars I've had, like, have had flaws. Like, none of them have been perfect. There's always something that I would change about it,
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, like, the glaring one here that I draw parallel to is the RX-8. Because nobody, and I mean fucking nobody, wants to be pouring fuel in at a rate of 9 miles a gallon.
That's not an amazing MPG.
No, it's not. And when you were pushing on, it went into it went into gallons per mile. Like, you were below zero on MPG. Like, you inverted the measurement, and that's like the mark of something that's truly incredible.
It's a real achievement, that.
It is. It's
when
not
you get the same fuel economy as a monster truck, you're doing something just right.
Mate, I was like filling up more often than a monster truck at times.
Probably got a smaller fuel tank.
Yeah, that's true as well. Didn't fucking feel small when you were paying for it every other day, though.
Oh, I bet. You didn't own it when it was £2 a litre, did you?
Fucking right, I did.
Oh my god, the absolute worst time to own that car.
Yeah, no, it was not good. But yeah, you know what, man? I don't even think the last question needs to be asked, and that's, do we think it's engineerable? Because, like, through this little mini series we've been on, we've kind of built what our technically perfect driver's car would be,
Oh yeah, we did. We talked about that, yeah.
And when it comes to this, which is the personality of a car more than the sum of its parts, I think it's as simple as, if you don't love it, it never will be.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, go on, I cut you off there. Do continue.
No, I don't know if I had anything worthwhile to say.
Well, the point I'm kind of gravitating towards here is I have driven cars that are technically perfect. Like, on paper, they should be the absolute epitome of a driver's car. Like, I should get in them, I should love them, I should be able to extract way more performance out of them than anything else I've driven previously. And it's just not true. Like, the Imprezas, for example, the fastest Impreza, the Impreza that I was the fastest in was easily my Turbo UK that had a bit of work done to it, admittedly. But it's the one that I also got rid of because I could put my hand through the sills and touch the carpet.
Was that the red one?
That was the light blue one.
I don't know if I saw that one.
I don't know if you did. I'll get some photos out for next time we're kicking about. I'll let you see it. But it was fantastically fast, and I gelled with it in a way that I didn't think I would have done, because I kind of bought it just to get rid of my BMW, like it was a trade. But I gelled really well with it, and it got a personality about it really quickly. Whereas I've driven other cars that just don't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, is it engineerable? Absolutely yes.
I would say so. I would say yes, it is. You can't guarantee, but you can add all the right elements for success.
Yeah, but if it's missing that little spark, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, there's probably a long list of, quite competent cars that just don't really ever work. They don't take off. They don't have that nature about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's kind of us, man. I think we can wrap this one up.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been an kind of quite an all-encompassing but shallowish discussion on the driver's car. We didn't really want to go into too much detail. We just wanted to kind of set out the important bits, the heavy hitters.
Yeah, and really that's been quite true of the whole mini-series here, to be fair. Because I was listening back to the engine one today, and we don't go into great detail on anything. Like, it's very much a whistle-stop tour, but it keeps it quite approachable as a subject while getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to become a podcast that literally just explains.
Yeah, this is not engineering explained, for example.
Absolutely not.
No, well, I think that's it then. So we set out to explore the kind of ethos of the personality of a car, and what we came up with is basically it matters more that the car is yours than anything else.
Yeah, but you can definitely, cars can be more likely to have a personality through like certain like bits of design, but really the important thing is your interaction with it, your experience with it.
Yeah, and really that is what makes a good driver's car. That is actually what defines a driver's car, I would argue. Oh well. On that bombshell, we have been Auto Arcadia. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode and the mini-series in general, along with all the other episodes we've done, give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. And we'd love to hear back from you. So absolutely comment and give us your feedback, what you think on this subject. We'd love to hear from you. I've been Colin Wood.
And I've been Thomas Hope. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye-bye. Toodaloo.